It's one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. A bloody multi-ethnic conflict. Civilians targeted, raped, and burnt alive in their homes. Millions forced to flee. And now, hundreds of thousands of people close to starvation. Where are you going? Families surviving on just grass and leaves. On the outskirts of Bentiu town in South Sudan. Behind the barbed wire, 120,000 people have taken cover. They are being protected by the UN, because if they leave this camp, they could be killed. We're about to enter the main gate of the camp. There are actually a number of entrances. This is just one of them, where about 2,000 people come through each week. This is the new reality in South Sudan. Bentiu town is strategically important. It lies in oil-rich Unity State, en route to the country's vast oil fields, and the front line of South Sudan's bloody civil war between the country's president Salva Kiir from the Dinka tribe and his rival Riek Machar, who is ethnic Nuer. They represent South Sudan's two main tribes. A tentative ceasefire is in place. Around 60 families arrive here each day. They come through that main gate over there to this reception area where they're greeted by the NGOs who register them, ask them health questions, ask them where they've been and what's happened to them. Tapisa, like the majority of people in this state, is ethnic Nuer. But there is conflict even within tribes in this complex multi-ethnic war.
Hey, why yan na lora? La yan ga ne ba wo tun fi. Ko me da ne ki sha me ki a kan ya kan ma da yo kuma. Tin la me la fa la ka. Me cha da ho, cha ka nang ma na det, cha ka nyo nu ma no. Ka no so ko ni do ko bun. Cha ka nyo nu ki ka so. Me yi ga tho yin do ma din me ai je ba jo na ne yin ba yang a. Kam de.
Tapisa is one of the 2 million people forced to flee their homes. But this camp isn't safe. 30 children have been dying here each week from malaria. I meet 7-year-old Riak playing in the mud. I ask, what is it he's making? In this camp, children at least have the chance to go to school.
The kids are getting their school bags for the first time and they're so excited, they're cheering with joy.
But 400,000 children in this country are missing out on an education. In the conflict zones, 70% of schools have shut. Outside class, I meet Riak again.
Tell me, what class are you in?
He says he's increased.
Do you like it?
No, yeah. Go mundu lara wana. Tine lar tine mo. Kya mo bere.
Why do you like this? Why do you like this? What else do you do in the class? Ria, what do you want to be when you grow up? You'll be a man. What kind of man? Why? What happened?
Riak takes me to meet his mum.
We've just been speaking to Riak and he's been telling us about some of the things he's seen. What goes through your mind when you know that he has seen these things? What happened there? When the soldiers came, what did you and your family do? And you know he's making guns out of clay.
Tens of thousands of people have been killed in this conflict. And it's the supply of arms to both sides that the UN says has been instrumental in prolonging and escalating the war. We managed to catch up with Tapisa, who's trying to find a bed for the night.
After being registered, Tapisa has come here with her family to get ration cards. She has to queue up in this line so that she can get her food for the evening.
After queuing for her food rations, she's taken to another part of the camp. It looks like she'll have to stay in this temporary shelter tonight.
Did you and your family think you would survive your ordeal?
Chajan mà đi chơi không mấy giờ lên đi nên đi cho mấy nhu chăng sao work riêng đây lối nhật thôi.
There's so much hope for your country. What do you think's happened to it now? What will happen to it?
Quay ở đâu thôi quay giờ
No, con mê quá con mê quá con.
Beyond the camps, out in the bush, war has taken a heavy toll. Almost 4 million people in South Sudan face severe food insecurity, and many thousands are close to starvation, according to the latest international assessment. I'm with teams from the World Food Programme and UNICEF who are warning unless urgent action is taken, famine could be just weeks away. We're travelling further across Unity State to visit remote settlements in Koch County. Some people have walked for days to get here. They're in desperate need of food, water, medicine and basic shelter. But ceasefire breaches are hampering the effort to deliver much needed assistance. Families are being given a 15-day supply of sorghum and fortified grain. But there is no guarantee that further help will arrive.
It seems quite chaotic here, but actually there's some order. And this clinic here was vandalized during the fighting, but they're using it again as a place to treat some of the children who are severely malnourished. Do you have small children? Tell me about your family. Where are they now? When you get the food, where will you go?
The risk that fighting may resume means that aid teams can only stay for 7 days. And then they have to get out. They're asking both sides in the conflict to provide unrestricted access to the areas of need.
How serious is the situation right now for these people?
Based on the analysis that we have just received, Southern Unity has been identified as one area where potentially we could have famine.
Just give us a sense of how bad the situation was here.
The last assessment for some locations in Central Unity, we were finding somewhere around malnutrition levels of more than 30%. What we don't know really is the extent to which there has been mortality. We worried that those that we are not able to reach are the ones that may be in a much, much worse situation.
Well, the reason that this assistance is allowed to happen or even possible, and the health checks as well, is because the NGOs have struck a deal with both the government and the opposition that there will be no fighting for at least 7 days, so these guys can come in and give these guys the help that they so desperately need.
In April, government troops and allied militia carried out a major offensive in this state to push back opposition forces.
What happened here? It must have been a very frightening night as you were waiting for daytime to find out what would happen.
Duno ne ti de ya tha ne dio na duno ka ga tan ne ti ko ne ja khali ti khring ru duno la ro na ke ma sha luang di ma di long ma ji duno ba mo na wa siang duno ba do kan ma la dan ni tho na.
What he says is consistent with reports from both the UN and Human Rights Watch. Right across this country, both government forces and rebel fighters are accused of carrying out serious human rights abuses. Both sides deny the charge. The government says if atrocities did occur, they were carried out by people acting on their own behalf. I'm with a team from UNICEF who've just been given the thumbs up to launch a relief and rescue operation into Jonglei State and to the town of Kaldak. This mission is heading deep into the bush to look for people who have fled the fighting. We've heard reports the situation is very desperate and that people could be dying of starvation. We're with the first international team to reach this town.
This territory is actually controlled by the opposition, but in November of last year the government launched a massive offensive here and they virtually flattened the whole town. There was a market just over there, there were buildings and homes, and now nothing exists. People are forced to shelter under the trees.
Hundreds of families just outside the town have made this patch of earth their home. Women are cooking, and what I find is truly shocking. Those pots are full of grass and leaves. I meet Regina, who's cooking grass for her family.
Can you tell me what you're doing? Has it made them sick, eating this food? And what do your children say when you give them this food every day?
Between 10 and 15,000 people have arrived in this town from other parts of the country. They're living alongside people who have returned to what is left of their homes, and conditions are desperate.
There are so many resources here that people could tap into. That water is full of fish, but the people here don't even have fishing rods. They've also been trying to access the water lilies. Across this country, people have been eating the roots from the water lilies, but they don't even have canoes to get to the water lilies. So what they're doing is eating grass, eating leaves. A lot of the work is done by the women here, and they wake up each morning and collect leaves, collect grass for their families.
In this town, South Sudan's two main tribes, the ethnic Nuer and Dinka, mix with the local Shuluk. Regina and her friends are from the Shuluk tribe. I go with them as they search for their next meal.
Where are you going? What's happened to your food?
من مشاغل ده أكل قطع
Asa la kanya ne na. Chal chinga de nyo doi nyo nyo mong ne na de be lo. Men na men. Chalo wedwa. Mana kama ke we ya. Nyara lang we cha ho de we. Quanh go kana. Ya ding. Tunga.
Agana tunya. Ready to.
There's very little or no nutritional value in this grass and these leaves. And I've been told by a health expert here that these people could actually develop health problems with their liver and their kidneys if they consume this over a long period of time. Some of these people have been eating grass and leaf for about 6 months.
Đua quay cái này chăm nhau bé. Quay cho yêu, mi cái chăm em lùm này lùm đi đua cái phe để cho cái chăm em gì chứ cái hồ, đấy chỉ chứ cái hồ. Bữa nó gì?
Nên bảo qua đến tàu cái này chơi chăm mình nè.
À.
Mới trên nó bán được cái mà bán gì đúng không sợ?
À.
Chứ thế cái chọn phiêu thế.
À. Mà này juang ai chui long juang coi nhìn. Bây giờ coi nhìn juang. À, jam bên bà mau juang. Lùm bông cái. Quay ra mà là lâu. Cái gì sao chợ lùm bông ăn. Bông ăn này ăn được.
Gini ni ana cho gini no pen ga nyang cho la ka ga ba nyang kom la be.
Bông ăn. À.
Nhoi nhoi cái cho. Nhưng à lù nhoi cái cho.
This country has such great potential. 95% of the land in South Sudan is fertile.
Gina ba cha mà diang cái này quy ra. Quy ra mình để cho hàng bên này hàng bên.
Ê. Qua cái. À.
4.5 years ago, the world's youngest nation had promised so much hope for millions. But war has torn this country apart. Now, thousands of its own people are on the brink of famine.